From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hangin' With web show, it's the legend of the Traveling Tardis. Look inside and behind the scenes at some of the most enduring and beloved science fiction worlds. Step inside the doors to a world that is bigger, brighter, and beyond imagination. And now, join your host, Christian Basel, as you become a part of the legend of the Traveling Tardis.
Hey folks, welcome back. For those of you just joining us back here at the Legend of the Traveling Tardis radio show, welcome back. For those of you who are just new, welcome. Thank you for joining us on iTunes, on Spreaker, on all the radio platforms that you could possibly listen to us on. Now we're on YouTube. We have a few episodes out there if you want to try us out. We are everywhere across the universe. I guess that's how you can pronounce it there. I'm your host, Christian Basel, and welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. We're going to be reviewing the episode Demons of the Punjab, but I don't like doing these things alone, so let me introduce you to my panel today, starting off with Mr. author Kevin J. Kessler with the Justice Watchtower inside the CW's DC universe. I'll never say that correctly. Those letters next to each other.
It is kind of seedy, but thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Gotcha there. And returning back is artist Melanie Dean. Hey, Melanie, how's it going?
Hello. Awesome to be back again for my second episode. I can't wait to talk some Doctor Who.
We're going to talk Doctor Who, and we're going to talk demons in Punjab, but we have a special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, coming from the Whoniverse itself, it is Mr. Brian Burress, but some of you know him better as Dr. Freedom on YouTube. How you doing, Brian? How's it going there?
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem there. Dr. Freedom, tell us a little bit about what you do and your YouTube channel.
Oh, mainly I do Doctor Who news, sit down, go over various articles, share them with the public, and then give them a link so they can go look it up for themselves. Also, every week we do a podcast where we go back and we review over the episode for that week.
Gotcha there. And he drops an episode on YouTube, and if you subscribe to his channel, as soon as the episode's over, about a good, within the next hour, Dr. Freedom's got an episode, and he's talking about reviews. So not a big stretch for coming on this show this week about this, reviewing this episode, but we, this week, are going to be reviewing Demons of the Punjab. So if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, this is what we're going to be talking about all week. But first, I want to go to the Who News, gosh, now I can't say it. The Who New News Desk with Sage Ia. Take it away, Sage.
It's time for Who Knew the News with Sage.
Who Knew News. It's Who Knew News.
Who Knew News?
You got to say it real fast. Who Knew News.
I know, I got it. You can't embellish that. You have to say Who Knew News.
Who Knew News.
Well,
very fast.
Go ahead, Sage.
Well, we'll start off with ratings.
Mm-hmm.
The official ratings from the BBC, it was 5.7 million viewers, and it was the third highest rated program for a BBC show on Sunday. So that's good. It is lower than last week's ratings, but everything has their ebb and flow. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
that first episode and the last episode usually have the best ratings, so don't let that crush your hopes and dreams.
No, and also I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Freedom and Kevin and Melanie, there was a time change this past episode, right? They had moved the episode for the Richard Attenborough series. Has that started yet, or am I just imagining?
I think that's this week's. They're going.
This week's. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not panicking either, but it depends upon your point of view too. It is 5.5. I think is the lowest episode that we've had so far. However, it was the third most watched show in the UK that night. So it really is your point of view out there. It is a lower rating, but hey, it still got seen by a heck of a lot of people there.
It did. However, it did prompt Moffat to make his own prediction, which is just, based on his own incredibly creative brain, and he predict that Jodie's 13th Doctor will stay for 3 years.
At least?
That's his prediction, that she'll stay for at least 3 years.
Okay,
So,
at least Moffat was making the prediction and not Jodie herself, because every time a doctor makes a prediction on how long they're going to be on the show, they don't really make it. I think Colin and Peter Capaldi had made predictions, and they kind of fell short of those predictions. So
They all stay for 3 years, though.
yeah,
Exactly.
they all.
That's not really a bold prediction, Moffat. That's like They all pretty much did 3 seasons. Tennant, Matt Smith, and Capaldi all did 3 seasons.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Well,
and that's about generally everybody. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know Colin wanted to set the record against Tom Baker, and I think Peter kind of insinuated he wanted to run as much as he wanted to, and he kind of just left after 3 seasons. But
I think the BBC told him it was time to go.
We've had a discussion about that. I've discussed that in panels on the personal level.
I thought Tennant was going to make a run at the, but Hollywood was knocking on his door.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Matt Smith. Matt Smith, I think, even had said he wanted to meet Tom Baker's record, and of course, it didn't happen.
So these guys are all talking like, yeah, let's give it a shot, and the next thing you know, Marvel Studios comes in going, hey, would you like to make 7 figures? That's the end of the day.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, Matt Smith is all about being the Doctor until somebody asks him to be Skynet or young Palpatine. There's a rumor that he's going to be young Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars Episode 9.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Well, I think what did it also with Matt Smith was he had come up with Andrew Russell Garfield, and when he landed that Spider-Man movie, the dollar signs just started ringing in his eyes.
Not only that, but Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. I still think he was the best thing in that damn movie.
Oh, God, was there a good part to that movie?
Yeah, it was Matt Smith. I do like the kick butt thing, but if you've seen Matt perform, he was supposed to be this misogynistic guy, and he played it over the top, and it was just perfect. He just nailed the. I cared for his character. I actually watched the movie because of him, and I ended up loving the movie because of him. And I was like, okay, there's got to be more. Come on, give us more. And it was kind of like the Terminator movie. It was like, wait a minute, you just put him at the end of the movie, and that's it. You're not going to keep going with him. You're not going to use him. So I wish he was in that movie more, but that's just my say. Hey, Sage, what's any more on the news?
I do. I have just some fun fashion news because I think it's fun, and it's my Who Knew News segment. So there is, even though there's no Doctor Who Christmas special, okay,
yes,
we still get Christmas apparel.
Yes.
Right? So, because Lavarzi has expanded their winter products, and they have a new Doctor Who sweater planned for this Christmas. And it's the TARDIS and Dalek, and it's complete with the killer Christmas trees. So it's like the best ugly sweater that you could possibly wear for Christmas.
Are you guys going to run out and buy one of those?
Hey, don't knock it. It's nice and warm.
I'm not knocking.
And gloves.
I have a 7th Doctor ? Sweater, and I still wear that at the ugly Christmas office party, ugly sweater Christmas parties, to see if I could actually win it. Just kind of come all second place every single year. So, but I think this year I've got them. I think this year I'm going to get it.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm on my phone now trying to find the sweater because I want to see what it looks like.
Oh, it's really cool, Melanie. Wait till you see.
Well, what does it look like? I'm assuming, Sage, you've seen it. What does it look like?
I have seen it. It's kind of like, because the Christmas trees provide almost like a stripe all the way down, and then the TARDIS is in between. But it's actually really nice. It's technically not an ugly sweater, although I suppose some people would think so. But it does look incredibly warm. And for us here in Florida, we might not have much opportunity to wear one, except for maybe like 2 days. But it's still very nice. So.
What else have we got in the news there?
Well, that's all of my Who Knew news, but I do have other news that I'm sure everybody has heard of, and that is the passing of Stan Lee at 95.
Gosh. Oh. I'm going to be honest with Stan Lee. I thought he was going to outlive me. I thought he was going to still be on the planet 100 years later, and everybody who's been to every convention taking as many pictures as they wanted of the man, he was still going to be around in bionics wearing an Iron Man suit going, Excelsior! Oh, gosh.
I was going to say the last time he did the last video I remember seeing just after his bout of pneumonia, that was where it finally kind of gripped me, thinking that, oh my God, Stan Lee isn't immortal. Because I agree with you, Christian. I mean, I've seen him at conventions. I've seen him in green rooms. I've seen him behind taking a nap behind the Tampa Convention Center, just taking a break and then going right back out there and meeting fans and going crazy. And just that last video, that's when I realized, oh no, he's old. It's realized there is a mortality with him.
And I'm 95. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if anybody wants to correct me, I think his marriage to his wife lasted before her passing about 60 some odd years. That's just incredible. That I think that's 1,000 years in Hollywood marriage.
All in all,
this day
just
and age.
an incredible life. He had just a super fantastic run, and we are all better for his being here.
Does anybody have a Stan Lee moment or a thing that inspired you with Stan Lee?
Oh, heck, where do I start at? Even though I didn't own too many comics, when I was growing up, there was always, the animated series, various ones like, Spider-Man, and there was X-Men, the 90s series, and all that. It's just his characters, just are going to live forever, Mm-hmm. They've just always, gave me a sense of right and wrong, gave me a barometer, to follow. It's just, I was in tears yesterday, to be honest with you, and I was like, I haven't done that since Liz Sladen passed. And it's like,
oh God, don't pull that feels in there and then this discussion.
As far as someone I've never even met or never really talked to, passing that affected me. Stan was right up there.
I hear the stories about how he affected the comic world, and especially today, now that he finally got his say into the cinematic universe with Marvel, and he finally got what I think he rightfully deserved. And not only that, but fans around the world are finally seeing what this man has done. And gosh, he could I don't think it's even measurable what he's done for the universe out here in the world of Marvel, in the world of comics. Now I think it's a bigger attractor than ever before. And sadly, it's going to miss him. And on a weird side note, in a slightly selfish way, a lot of my friends, and I think Melanie, you were one of them, who, if you've known anything about the Traveling Tardis itself, I carry a box and I take pictures with it, with cosplayers, celebrities, and such, and very interesting places that the TARDIS has never been, which is the thing I use. And Kyle Deuce from the Happy Hour team, he pushed me. He goes, "You really need to go and take a picture with Stan Lee." And this was at a time when he was practically at every convention known to man. I mean, every small convention. I mean, even the smaller ones that only maybe got five figures. And now it's a missed opportunity. And then it's just I never got to appreciate the man, but I appreciate him through osmosis, through other people who tell me the stories, the interactions with him.
There was one photo op. I cannot for the life of me remember where it was, but it was a photo op that you could have with Stan Lee and David Tennant. They were in the same photo op, and I remember kind of looking at it thinking it was just a little tenuous, because I'm like, all right, David's done, Purple Man. I'm going, but wait, what? Because it was just the oddest kind of photo op I remember in the world. But I remember thinking to myself, going, that's a Traveling TARDIS photo. But I can't remember where. It wasn't in Florida.
That's okay. I could not afford it. Whatever it was.
Oh yeah, it was an action.
I'm sure it was. How much blood do I have to donate? Hey, listen, gang, thanks for listening to us. Please stay tuned. We've got to pay some bills, but catch us on the other side. When we come back, we're going to be reviewing Demons of the Punjab. And again, if you have not seen the episode, hang tight, just pause this, watch the episode, come back. We're going to talk more a little bit. Please continue to listen and continue to be part of the legend.
It's Germany, 1938. Charlotte is a 15-year-old girl living in the Jewish quarter. George lives in the city proper, and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into his cobbler shop, George decides right then and there that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo and their dramatic escape from Nazi Germany. Good things always happen in springtime, from author Joanne Fisher, on Amazon.com today. Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Now back to your host, Christian Basel.
That guy always sounds drunk. Anyway, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. I'm Christian Basel, your host. I've got with me our panelists, Melanie, Kevin, and our special guest, Dr. Freedom himself from his YouTube channel, coming on, our special guest. Hey, gang. Also, I just want to throw this in as a side note to the Who Knew News. On Big Finish, which we're hoping when we do more episodes and get more into the Legend series, Jenny and the Fifth Doctor are going to meet on Big Finish. You're talking about dad and daughter going to be on the show recording together, and I'm very excited about this.
Oh, wow.
So there's supposed to be
cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an audio called The Legacy of Time. So keep an eye out at bigfinish.com for more information about that. But there is a promotional photo, and it is Georgia Tennant and Peter Davison just, back to back to each other. And it's just a cute little picture of them. But I would love to see what that story is going to be all about. And if Jenny's going to reveal herself to her dad. That's going to be interesting. So I can't wait for that to come out over there. What do you guys think about that? A Jenny and a Fifth Doctor story.
That's going to be kind of temporarily weird.
I think it's going to be interesting because, well, it's in the timeline here. She was created at 10. Here he's 5. So I almost wonder if it'll be she's in it, but she kind of keeps herself on. The download doesn't really reveal to him that, oh, hey, I'm your daughter. That kind of deal. So it's kind of neat in the meta way of knowing, hey, that's actually father and daughter portraying the characters in the Whoniverse, in the Doctor Whoniverse. But I don't know.
Yeah, the way it works when the Doctor meets previous incarnations of himself is that the only one that leaves is the most recent version of the Doctor. So maybe with her being formed from 10, there'll be some kind of thing with that where, like, after they part, 5 doesn't remember meeting her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's always kind of how they explain that away.
But also, we're talking about the Adventures of River Song and how she's been going down the line. I have not heard all the Big Finish stuff, so that's going to be, I really wanted to listen to 6 and 7 as when they confront River Song, but I wonder how she's keeping it under wraps there.
Well, yeah, River isn't forged from the Doctor, so those rules wouldn't apply. I think that with Jenny you could get away with the whole, once they part, only Jenny retains the memory of the meeting.
That'd be interesting there. All right, folks, well, welcome back, and today we are going to be reviewing Demons of the Punjab. Dr. Freedom, this is how it works. We're going to rank the episode with 1 to 10 traveling TARDISes, 1 being and 10 being So, starting, and whoever has the lowest score is going to get to go first. So, Melanie, ladies first, how would you rank Demons of the Punjab?
As a standalone episode,
yes.
I think I'm going to go with a 6.
Okay. Kevin, what do you think about Demons of the Punjab?
I'm also going to give it a 6.
A 6. When I first saw the episode, I gave it a 5. And then I moved it up to 7. Dr. Freedom, how would you rate this episode?
Well, I'd probably have to rate it the same way I rated on the Omega Files this week. I gave it a 9.
A 9, okay. So big score, big score on there. So we got a tie between Melanie and Kevin. Again, ladies first. Melanie, tell us what you thought about the episode, the good stuff, the bad stuff. What made it drop down to a 6 for you?
I think the thing that made it drop down to it, well, I'll start with the good stuff. The things that I thought were high points is I like how so far there's an arc with this particular season where they're going with the very poignant things that happened in history. I do like with the Rosa Parks episode here, they're I'm trying to think how to word it. They're surrounded by all these amazing events, and even though when I say amazing, they're poignant. They're going to be changing history, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're good events. And here, again, something's about to happen, and they can't change it. They can't alter it. They can't do it. You have to let it roll. You can't change the history. The reason I'm giving it I kind of start going downwards is in the beginning of it, the Doctor flat out tells Yaz, look, we can't, we've got an hour, you can only watch, we're not going to interfere, no interfering. And even then, when they were talking, the funny part of them talking about what was it, the islet, the attack turtles or whatnot. Graham and Ryan were kind of like, yeah, no interfering. So here's something. So to me, it was even though it's not shown in the episodes, clearly in between in the spaces in between, there's the rule, no interfering. And now you just kind of flip that you did a 180, and not only you're interfering, it's her own, it's Yaz's personal history. It was just all these little things that to me kind of went against the grain of what I'm used to for the doctor themselves to allow people to do. Yeah, the doctor has a tendency of not following his or her own rules all the time. Quite frankly, it makes it a great, fun kind of episode to watch. But I started I started really not liking that in the throwing so much caution to the wind.
Well, here's the thing. When I first saw what was going on, I said, did Father's Day not happen in this timeline?
Yeah.
Did we not learn from Rose's experience? We don't do this?
Absolutely. I was thinking about 9 and how the Reapers came. And then I kind of went, wait, there's no Reapers in this one. So what's going on? I did, however, like the little spin of the aliens here. They're thinking, she's familiar with them. They're assassins. And you find out, oh, no, they're there to witness, to bear witness to the person that's going to be lonely in death, which I thought that was very poignant. I really thought that was a unique kind of spin for a plot point. But it was, I really didn't like how much of it was with the grandmother. And then at the end, the grandmother didn't notice anything, didn't remember yet. Too much trying to stigma.
Yeah, that kind of threw me off too. It's just like especially that in that particular moment, in that particular time, if I saw Yaz and then Yaz showed up again in the future, I'm like, okay, I guess that's a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kevin, you also gave it a 6 as well. Some good high points, some bad points.
The only thing that kept this from being a 4 or 5 for me was Jodie and her portrayal, because I felt like this was the episode. I felt like the first half of this episode was the episode where she really became the Doctor for me. I think I marked down a very Doctor moment when, when she talks about these people are under my protection. I'm like, okay, like when she was cutting the promo at the Vegarian, like in the back of my head, I could hear dun 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 dun, and I was just like, okay, cool. She's being the Doctor. She's gonna kick some alien butt. She's gonna figure it out, and she's gonna, when she worked with their portal generators, I was like, this feels very Doctor. This is great. It's showing that Chibnall can go there, that he can make a real good Doctor Who story. And then all of a sudden, the carpet got pulled out from underneath it, and they were like, psych! The villains are humans again, and it's about racism.
Well,
and I was just like, no, not again.
Yeah, we'll get into that one, but yeah,
not again. Enough.
So you had that.
Well, the horse is dead, and it is being beaten with a sledgehammer. It does not feel like Doctor Who anymore. It feels like a show that's wagging its finger at society at this point. And listen, I'm always the one that says these things are important. We have to talk about them. We don't have to talk about them every week.
But you said this is the first time you had a Jodie moment. So this was the Tennant. This planet is defended. This was the Matt Smith, basically run. This was the moment. It took this episode to finally kick in.
It was almost the moment. It was just on the cusp of being there. She hasn't had that definitive "I am the Doctor" moment, which is fine because it took Capaldi up until the "I'm the man that stops the monsters" to get that moment. Yeah. So I'm sure the moment's coming. They need to fight aliens. I'm tired of humans being the villains every week. It's either humans, racism, Republicans, and just humanity in general are the villains this season. And I'm just like, I need some cool aliens, and aliens that aren't stolen from something else.
Yes, and I want to talk more aliens with you, but Dr. Freedom, you gave it a high score of a 9. While my panelists gave him a 6. Why did you give it a higher score? Some challenges, some good stuff that you found.
Well, the reason being was, even though I do agree with you, the whole aliens not being the villain thing, has gotten a bit tired. But at the same time, in this episode, it was essential. They were there as a misdirect. While you were focused on these two beings, the Thajarians being the evil, it turns out in reality, you were taking your mind off the brother, who turned out to be the one who killed the wise man, who turned out to be the one who was, going to end up leading to his own brother's death. So that way, and in this point, it was kind of essential to this particular episode. Plus the payoff with the watch, the reason why it could never be fixed. It was to commemorate this particular moment in time.
Love that device.
I like that too.
But with the grandmother, who knows? Maybe she does know, but she's not saying anything. That's why she's refused to tell the story for so long. So maybe it's kind of like I know, but I'm not going to say anything type of thing. So that's the way I picture it as to why she's not mentioning to Yaz, hey, I recognize you, because maybe it's better I wait a little while before I say that.
Here's one of my challenges about this episode, and this is where I want to focus on what you just said, Kevin. Why did we even have aliens? I didn't even know why we had them. They were again, we had another assassin-type deal, bad guy, and then all of a sudden they became the Doctor themselves. They were the last of their kind, and now they're doing doing funeral services. I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening now, or they're just keeping track. I didn't even know what they were for, except for the fact that we had more aliens with teeth attached to them. I didn't know. I kind of like the teleportation device. I like the inside of their ship. But I think we could have had a story completely without them. I think we could just focus on the two brothers and the marriage and what was going on. And it would be kind of, like you said, it was another story about racism, another Rosa Parks story. But this is a sci-fi show, and I get the feeling it's kind of losing that the more that we move on. And I feel that it's kind of losing that as we started in Capaldi's first series at the end of the series where he goes, love is the solution. I'm like, no, you're a sci-fi show. Got to rein it in. And when the Doctor was marrying the two of them with Nan and Prem, it was like, love is the most strongest thing in the universe. I said, you're still a sci-fi show. The solution has to be science fiction, and I know that they're
I don't really agree with you on that one. I think the concept of love is the strong. That's in fantasy and romanticized stories throughout all of history, whether it's sci-fi or not. That's a Star Wars theme. Is that love is the candle that holds back the dark.
Right, but I think it starts. But you said it yourself, fantasy, and I think they're trying to add it into it, but I think they're losing the sci-fi element when they go too far with the fantasy element, and then we kind of lose the sight of Doctor Who. That's why, or at least that's what you're saying. It's not the Doctor Who that you know. It's not the Doctor Who that I grew up with, or the Doctor Who that I started watching when Christopher Eccleston it's kind of losing that flavor. If I'm wrong, let me know if you guys think different. But
I think you're right, and the thing that's saving it for me is her portrayal, the fact that she is so awesome. But what's hurting it for me is the fact that it doesn't feel like a science fiction show anymore.
Gotcha there. Melanie, I'm going to get back to you, but we got to take a commercial break. Please stand by, folks, and hang tight. We are going to be back with more of our review of Demons of the Punjab. When we come back, please stay tuned as we continue to become part of the legend.
From author Sherry Rensler comes the Evening Bower series, a prophecy from the lost city of Atlantis, a pairing whose union will change the future. Magical creatures, prophecy, destiny, and love collide in a new kind of romance. It's Sherry Rensler's Evening Bower series, a haunting and compelling tale pulled from humanity's lost histories. Begin the adventure with Time and Blood on Amazon.com today. Forever is only the beginning.
The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour on Krypton Radio, bringing you the very best in pop culture talk radio. Each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour with your hosts G.W. Pomacher and Christian Basel, who are hanging with rising pop culture newcomers as well as superstar icons. The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. Tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Who are you hanging with?
Hello, sweeties. I'm Crystal Moore. I play the Doctor in fan series Doctor Who Velocity. You're listening to The Legend of the Traveling Tardis radio show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling Tardis radio show. Again, my panelists today that are helping out review Demons of the Punjab are Melanie Dean, Kevin J. Kessler, and our special guest today, Brian Burress. Brian Burress, but you better know him as, wow, I can't even talk. Brian Burress, but you know him better on his YouTube channel as Dr. Freedom. Hey, gang, welcome back there. We're continuing our review again of Demons of the Punjab. Melanie, what's your take on what we were just discussing? Because I think you wanted to jump in on this.
Yeah, I wanted to just note that I agree with Brian on how they utilize the aliens in this one as a misdirect. So I noticed that, like with Rosa Parks, that in order to keep it going with the whole that it's a sci-fi show, for good or for bad, with Rosa, they ended up having what I can't remember the character's name, but I was thinking he was a time agent, and he was like the
I know what you're talking about.
Cresco.
Yeah.
Yes, Cresco. And so he kept it in the sci-fi realm for the story, but they inlaid it into history with Rosa Parks. And now here you're taking a part where perhaps, I know for at least I'm going to assume that most American audiences aren't really going to be familiar with the partition for India.
I wasn't.
But at least for BBC, and more considering that's going to be when the Raj for the British kind of gave up India, and then they had to go ahead and split the other two back. They're going to know a little bit more about it. I was kind of hoping, when I first heard that this episode was going to go on, I figured, okay, well, they're going to talk about history, like, with Rosa Parks, but they're going to have something sci-fi-ish, and there was the aliens, and I did kind of like the fact that it was a misdirect, that it just kind of went with the history part on this one. I was kind of hoping that they would explain a little bit more about what kind of went on, for at least for me as an audience that isn't familiar with that particular history, whereas for Rosa Parks, they really there was a lot of portions where the Doctor or Graham or everybody was there. It was like exposition playhouse where they were explaining what was going on. But I think maybe they were doing that, or at least talking to Ryan or talking to Yaz, and this is what's happening in Montgomery, and blah, 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 blah. They didn't really do that too much in this particular one. When this was like the biggest reason that a year later Gandhi was assassinated because of the partition, and they didn't really bring up anything like that. So here you have a lot of history going on, but they didn't take I don't think they took every opportunity to really show how poignant a piece of history this was. But again, like everyone was saying, it is a sci-fi show, so you need to have that balance of, do you really are we watching a documentary about history, or are we watching sci-fi? More aliens, please.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I get what you're saying, because I'm sure that people in the States don't understand the partition of India and the history and the millions of people who died on that, and how it's played a big role, because I think a lot of what we know is history. I mean, if we are so nailed and driven for Rosa Parks because she was a very critical and important role to play, not only for people of color, but everybody for freedom. But we really don't get that much in school about India and Muslim versus Pakistan. And if we knew a bit better, I think when the two brothers are going at it at the very end is when that escalates even higher. If we knew that history, and I understand what you're saying. But one of the things I loved about Doctor Who is when they go back in time and do some history, I actually sometimes research. It kind of makes me go, okay, what the hell are they talking about? And then when you go back and watch the episodes again, you're like, oh, now I know what the heck they're talking about. For me, on rating this episode, I started off as a 5. Again, I didn't know what the aliens were there for. And in fact, I think we could have had an episode without the aliens, because we were kind of focused on the two brothers and the racism again. But like you said, the bad guy in the Rosa Parks one kept it in the sci-fi world. This one, I just didn't know what the aliens were for, except more aliens with teeth attached to them. That was it. That's the way I saw it. And plus, it kind of just reflected back, we had this, 180 that we're not assassins anymore because we're the last of our kind. Well, you know what? We've had 10 series of that with the Doctor, him or herself, being the last of their kind, and I think it's kind of lost its novelty now if we keep going with it. I mean, I think at some point you just got to stop it. Just like the racism aspect. Okay, we understand it's bad. It was such a powerful message in the Rosa Parks episode, but to continue on with every episode saying it over and over again, that's going to lose its novelty. Because I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just like saying we've already had that message. Let's keep it in one episode and have a great story in the next one. And the reason why I rated it a 5 is because of the aliens. I thought at the beginning it was kind of slow. I personally didn't. I knew about the partition of India, but I didn't know so much to focus on it. And plus, the reason why I bumped it up 2 points was, believe it or not, and this is where, Kevin, maybe this is where I contradict myself, was that scene between the brothers. A very passionate, very hard-hitting, and I felt that punch me into the gut. I'm like, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to do it? But I thought, why not get rid of the monsters and just have an explanation that Yaz discovered that, wait a minute, this is not Grandpa. This is not the same person. This is not the picture, which they kind of went into. But then, again, I didn't even see the need for the aliens, except they were cool-ass looking.
There is, in my opinion, there is a fine line that they're walking with this by going to actual historical moments in history as opposed to just time periods. It's the way they used to do. Like instead of just going to the Old West or going to pirate times, they're actually visiting real historical events. And when you start to make alien threats responsible for things like Rosa Parks or the partition, you insult, you smack history in the face. So if they're going to be going with these historical moments, they kind of have to tone down the aliens, which I get. But I'm saying stop going to the historical moments.
All right, let's go back into space.
You know what? I'm going to be the one that says it. I miss Moffat.
Ugh.
I can't
I miss
believe
RTD
I can't believe I said it, but I miss Moffat.
Well, we actually
have something. I was going to ask a question, and this could be anybody who could answer this. In regards to when they're filming, I know a lot of different shows, and sometimes this show has changed up how they film in what order. But I do wonder if when they had their layout of going, okay, this is episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if they actually are airing them in the same order that Chibnall had wanted them to air, or did the BBC kind of come in and wonder, let's go ahead and do this one, and stick Rosa Parks and this one right after it. I almost wonder who made the decision to put these two pieces right back to back, and as a season as a whole, do you think maybe if they had moved this down the line a little bit and put more space, we'd be rating them a little bit differently?
It's a possibility, but I mean that's kind of in hindsight because we don't know how, unless they come out and say, yeah, we've had to reorder things, which we'll probably find out later. But yeah, that's a little tricky. And I don't think there's been a season where they've said, oh yeah, we've had 1 through 12, but 7 was really supposed to be 3, and 3 was supposed to be 12, and 12 was supposed to be 1, or something like that. But Dr. Freedom, I usually find a line in every episode that I think coins what is the determining factor. First of all, I've got to say this. I'm in love with Graham. I think he's probably going to line up as one of the most favorite companions I have of the new series. Right now, currently, it's Nardole.
Yeah.
But Graham is coming strong in a quick second. And I think he just has some wonderful lines. And you have Bradley just going out there and telling them, and he just looks so sincere. One of the line that hit me the most was when Graham is with Yaz, and he says the following: "The real truth of our own lives." I'm sorry. The real truth of our own lives. We're too busy living them from the inside, so just enjoy it and figure it out later. I actually rewound that bit like 3 times to make sure I was listening to what I heard correctly, but I also thought it was defining that episode. What do you think about that there, Doctor?
Graham has been amazing in this. Bradley Walsh has been incredible throughout this whole series. And it's kind of nice to have a companion who's in there who's a bit older, a bit wiser.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I agree with you. That particular segment was incredible where he's sitting down with Yaz and he explains to her, about that we only usually see things from our perspective. And he goes, right now, enjoy this moment. Don't sweat the small stuff. Enjoy what's happening. You're in 1947. How many other people in the world are going to actually get to experience, this type, of journey?
Exactly.
So I'm just really, he is starting to get up there, alongside Nardole with me as well. He's really getting there.
You like Nardole the best as far as the reboot?
Oh, Nardole was incredible, and I'm not kidding. I'll be the first one to say it. When I heard that they were bringing him back, I'm like, oh God, he's a head in a can. How are they going to do this? I was like, oh God, Nardole. Oh, they're going to bring back Nardole, and then Dr. Mysterio happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh. He's really damn good. And then he just got better as they went through Series 10. And I'm like, he was just amazing. I was like, wow.
I'm going to even argue this. Had they started, and I think I've said this in previous episodes, I know I've said it in panels, had they started with Nardole as being Capaldi's companion, I think we would still be talking about Capaldi to this day. I think they harkened back to Troughton and Fraser Hines as the buddy team, and that worked magically. And those two, as soon as I saw them and they were staring at the map, and Nardole goes, "No, it's not." He goes, "No, those are the capital city," and I'm like, "Holy cow!" And then when they kept going and going and going, I like, God, this is the companion we've been waiting for Capaldi. And then we finally got him, and then he unfortunately only had 1 season. So I don't know. That's just me. But Kevin, what did you think about the aliens too?
I thought they were pretty cool. I liked them. I was really into them. I liked the Doctor's interactions with them early on. But obviously they were a red herring, which I appreciate. It's Doctor Who. You have to have some kind of alien presence, and I feel like at this point Chibnall is just kind of enjoying subverting expectations rather than like telling good Doctor Who stories. I feel like it feels like The Last Jedi to me, where it's just like,
it ain't that bad yet.
But it feels like it's getting there. Like the point where it's just like, everything you love about this franchise, well, I'm gonna change it up because I'm an artist. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm having that. I always harken back to the Batman Joker gun thing when things go just completely awry. Meaning that, I guess you guys all remember the Michael Keaton Batman. He's there in his Batplane or the Batflyer, and he's shooting everything at the Joker, missiles, machine guns, everything. What does Jack Nicholson do? Pull out this long gun, 1 bullet, bam, and takes down the Batwing. I'm like, what the hell is that all about? And that's where I'm seeing some directions go. I'm like, okay, he pulled out a gun, he just took down the Batwing. So I just really don't know there. Melanie, we're going to get back to you. I got a question there for you. But, folks, we're going to take a small break, pay some bills. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our review of Demons of the Punjab. Thanks again for staying with us. Thanks again for listening. Continue to listen and become part of the legend.
Grab some altitude and adventure together at Pound the Grape. It's all about an adventure above the crowd. There's always something different happening there, from painting to food pairings to dancing. But one thing's rock solid, people sharing incredible wines from around the world. And if that's not what puts Lift under your wing, try their craft beer. Grab some altitude and adventure at Pound the Grape. Find more at poundthegrape.com. Poundthegrape.com. Pour a glass of adventure.
How you doing, everybody? This is KG Bethlehem. I'm an author of a new book called Certain Moments of Time. It's a collection of short stories. These short stories range from post-apocalyptic, dystopian, anti-utopia, as well as general fiction. You can find Certain Moments of Time on sale at Amazon.com, where you can purchase the ebook format as well as paperback format. You can also purchase it at Lulu.com, paperback format, and will be on sale soon at BarnesandNoble.com.
Hey, folks, we're back. Thank you for joining us here at the Legend of the Traveling Tardis radio show. Again, I'm with Miss Melanie Dean, I'm with author Kevin J. Kessler, and I'm also with Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress. We're just wrapping up our review of Demons of the Punjab. There are a couple of things I wanted to mention there, Melanie. First of all, Ryan cannot keep his hands to himself to save the universe. He's always got to touch something.
Yep.
That's
what he does.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I would have been okay if the Doctor had kicked everybody out of the TARDIS and took Umbrine for a ride. That girl is magical. I thought she was one of the strongest characters. I love Prem. I love Prem. I mean, it was just wonderful. And I even love Nanny Umbrine. But I mean, wow, Amita Suman played an incredible role of a very, very strong woman. And I said, you know what? She needs to be in the TARDIS for a little bit there. She and the Doctor haven't got to run around for a little bit. I thought she was a very strong character. What say you on those two?
Oh, most definitely. I honestly thought there was a great shot from either the director or was the DP of when they first introduced the character, and when Yaz comes running up, starts introducing herself and all that kind of stuff, but gives her the big hug. That shot where she turns her head and you just see her eyes like look back over her shoulder. She just had such the look of shock, but not necessarily shock. I take that back. It more of a who on earth and what the heck and what? It's just all in her eyes. Just like, what on the what? You could just see that she was having so many of the questions, but her eyes were wide open, like looking back. Like there was whoever she made eye contact with, there was an entire conversation going on. Yes. And at that point, it made me think this is going to be a character who's hyper aware. And it was kind of neat seeing a younger version of who we've already been introduced as the grandmother, where she was just, you don't know if it was just with age, where she wasn't remembering the stories like the flower, not knowing her, I don't remember where that's from. Well, you kind of now realize where the flower came from. Or the watch, oh, it's this. And, her kind of going on and on. And you're not sure if that's age or she's just being very... she's smart, she's just playing it close to the vest, and seeing her as her being in her youth, how incredibly strong she is and how very witty she is, and I liked how with the character, for somebody that's in a very, very delicate position, she had no problem articulating the right thing at the right time, even though you knew those words weren't gonna hit the younger brother, like right after the wedding, where she said, well, you toiled in the fields, when we had no food, you didn't eat, you kept working and working and working. Here, let me have the opportunity to feed you. I thought that was just a really great speech for not just the character, but the actress just really just knocked it home there.
And I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What did you guys think of the characters Breen, Prem, and Manish, as far as what was going on out there, guys?
Well, some brilliant performances all around.
Yes.
It was, especially that last scene. It was so very intense. It was so convincing. The look in his eyes as he's staring at his own brother, and he's got this gun pointing at him, and it's like, it's like you were just so tensed up because you know what's coming, and it's going to wrench your heart into pieces. But
you don't want it to happen. You're just like,
you don't want it to happen. Especially the Doctor's reaction as well. I have to throw that in. Because when the gun goes off, you see that look come over her face. It's like, here's someone else I couldn't save. I couldn't do anything about it. That was also brilliant.
That was. And I was just sitting there going, it reminded me of that whole thing where there's something at the end of somebody else's life and they're there to monitor it. I don't know why, but A Good Man Goes to War, the Tesseract people. I was waiting for the Tesseract to show up and go like, okay, maybe they replace him, and it goes... But yeah, I mean, it was so passionate, and the acting was so brilliant by those three actors. When the brothers are going nose to nose, about what's going to happen to this. Are you really going to do this? And I'm just like, please don't, please don't, please don't. And as the doctor walks away, I'm just like, okay, it's going to happen. Jeez. And the aliens show up. And I think that's the only time I appreciated the aliens showing up as a device, because we kind of knew it was the end. Kevin, what did you think about those scenes?
I mean, I thought they were very well done. I thought they were very well shot, very well acted. I really enjoyed the concept of the doctor really, the whole team really likes this person. And now they know he's going to die. He has to die, because if he doesn't die, Yaz never exists, which is, part of the reason they shouldn't be there in the first place. But I really felt the hurt and the emotion through the whole team for these scenes. Yeah. I thought they were very, very well done by everybody all around.
Well, we also learned from the Serenga conundrum that, they're going to develop a really good character that we're going to like, and then they're going to kill him off just midway. I'm like, damn it. So it's kind of like, what show is it? It was kind of like The Walking Dead, please, or Game of Thrones. Don't start liking somebody because in 2 episodes they're going to
kill him. It's worse on The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, the reason I stopped watching The Walking Dead, not to get on a Walking Dead tangent, but the reason I stopped watching it was because it's too much shock death. It's to the point where I stopped caring about characters because I knew they were just going to die. It was when Negan's walking around pointing the bat at everybody, there was never a moment where I said, oh, God, not them. I was just like, I don't care. Kill whoever you want.
Also, another scene I'd like to bring up was when the young man's dressed for the wedding, and Bradley Walsh tells him about how he's a good man, and he gives him that hug.
Yeah.
That was powerful. That really made me, tears come to the corner of my eyes right there in that moment.
Walsh just seemed like he was playing it where Graham had just wanted to say all this stuff and save his life and just tell him, how good a man he is. And you could see where it was almost as if Graham wanted to keep going, but then kind of stopped and held it back, going, if I keep going and saying everything I want to say in my heart and in my brain to this man, he's going to go, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, Graham is the right companion at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I do love how he kind of, when the doctor and him are going, are working together, they're really working together. Because everybody's now shipping Yaz and Ryan. I'm just like, no. What? I mean, they're supposed to be the companions. Get off of that. But when Graham comes in, and I like I said, to this day, I'm still miffed at Ryan that he can't give him a fist bump. Well-deserved at this point, for crying out loud. They've been all over space and time. Even Graham has the one line, which is my favorite line at the very beginning, where, meeting your grandma, kind of dangerous, and Graham goes, can you tell us one time that we went somewhere that wasn't dangerous? I was like, yep, you just defined Doctor Who in a nutshell right there. So has anybody changed their mind about the episode? Are you still standing on your grounds as far as what you think and your numbers there?
Go on ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I'd probably bump it up. As more I'm thinking about it, maybe going up to a 7. Not going, again, I really do have like a little deep-seated issue with don't change your personal history, don't do this, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, did you learn nothing when you were 9 and Rose and you went and showed her the father? What that? But no, that aside, one of the things that kind of, as I'm thinking about it, that scene where the brothers are talking to one another and the tears are just, gently flowing off both of them, and realizing that the man who kills Bram was... He looks at him and says, I fought with you. We were fighting together. Yes. That part just made me go, wow. And they never gave that character any words. Just the finger went onto the rifle. He, that kind of, that whole scene where they didn't give any voice to that character. But meanwhile, you already know his background, that they were in the trenches together. They fought together.
Right. And it seems like they were fighting for different reasons, too.
Mm-hmm.
They had both different principles now that they're looking at each other at this. It's almost like, what were you fighting for?
Yep.
Well, looks like we're coming up to the wrap-up, guys. Kevin, what did you think about the episode? Final thoughts about the episode?
I need an extreme about face with this season for the direction that they're taking it in. I really want to see more things that feel like Doctor Who, more alien threats, original aliens, and a lot more fun. I think that Jodie is a breath of fresh air. She's wonderful. She is the epitome. She lives up to Capaldi's last speech because she is the definition of, laugh hard, run fast, be kind.
Yeah, and she was listening.
She is carrying this show, and I absolutely adore her. I just need Chibnall's quality to rise up to the quality that his main character is bringing to the table.
Well, it seems like maybe, and I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into the next episode. I'm hoping the next episode changes that perspective, because it looks like I saw the trailer for Kablam, and that might be. I'm hoping that you and I are going to start seeing the science fiction back in Doctor Who again, and not just necessarily the political side or the racism side, but let's get off of this tangent and start becoming the sci-fi show that we're supposed to be. And if you want to throw in heart, and if you want to throw in moral, yes, it's got to be in there somewhere. But I feel like it's becoming the driving force, and sci-fi is taking the back seat. And that's what I don't know. That's why I can't say I recognize this as Doctor Who. I'm kind of losing it, and I'm hoping in the next couple episodes that are coming up that might change. Dr. Freedom, what do you think? Final thoughts about Demons of the Punjab?
I've only rated 2 episodes this series so far at around a 9, and it's this one and Rosa, I'm sorry. And,
Yeah, we got Rosita, Rosa, so we've got everybody down the line there.
And while I do agree with you, though, we do have to have some more sci-fi element come in. I'm really looking forward to seeing, further down the line how she deals with a hostile alien race. I want her to have that moment, where she has to stand up, and maybe even the one thing I'm really looking forward to, I want to see how Jodie handles it dark. Peter Capaldi did a Dark Doctor very well and very subtly. I want to see how she does it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And I think I know what you're saying. It's just like, she's always been lively and bubbly and happy, but what if she has to be in a position where she can't be this way? And really challenge Jodie on another phase of her Doctor and how her Doctor would handle it in, per se, the dark.
I want her to be in that position Capaldi told Claire about, where sometimes the only decisions you have are bad ones, and you have to make the best of what you have. And that's exactly what I want to see.
And I'm hoping that the next episode, or maybe in the next episode or two, we're going to be seeing that. I know you were starting some final thoughts there, Melanie, but did you have any other further final thoughts before we go?
Not. The only other thought I think is I can talk, really. One part that I thought was very intriguing is being able, even though you're seeing your own personal history, that aside, being able to see somebody in your family not in the single role that you know them as, be it your mother, or in this case your grandmother, and that you only saw your grandmother as this. Here you saw your grandmother as a wife, as a person, as a young woman. It was neat for a character to be able to look at somebody else in a different role, and that's something I think it would be kind of neat if they kind of even showed that off more as a takeaway with this episode, just to people to kind of don't look at your own life, looking at your own mother as this is your mom, but as its own, as her own person, or your father as his own person. And it, just kind of a neat little takeaway. I think that was maybe lost, but on the other hand, maybe it wasn't, depending on who was watching.
Gotcha. Well, folks, we're out of time. Again, I want to thank my guests and my panelists, Melanie Dean. Check out her art whenever you are in the Florida area, wherever she goes, selling out her merchandise. Check out her booth. Mr. Kevin J. Kessler, please check out his new podcast, the Just Us Watchtower Inside the CW's DC Universe. Check it out. His Facebook page, and also I believe you're on Spreaker too, right?
Yes,
and iTunes. Okay, and always check out Dr. Freedom. Subscribe to him on YouTube. He's got some really good stuff. He's got some interesting stuff to say. Thank you guys for joining us, and stay tuned, because right now we're going to be playing the trailer for my favorite Billy Mays phrase, "Kerblam."
Kablan's the biggest retailer in this galaxy.
This came to me in a delivery.
A man is missing, and I don't think he's the first. I might start to suspect that you're responsible.